What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool walnut bench. Check it out. So this build started out with a piece of walnut from my local lumber yard. So here I am starting to lay out all of the paper templates on the wood, and I did make a lot of templates. I was making sure that I got everything perfect and all the sizes were going to be perfect so that my templates would be perfect when I went to use my router and my flush trim bit. So here what I'm doing is I'm just spreading around a little bit of wood glue on the wood, which I can then put my paper template on, and I can use that as a cutting guide. So I have my 3 different templates cut. This right here is the middle piece. It's going to hold on the 2 legs. The top and the bottom legs are actually different. The top leg has just a little bit of a upper portion right there that the bottom leg does not. Now this portion is what sits flat on the tabletop. So now that I have my templates cut for the router, I'm going to cut 4 of these pieces, and I'm going to cut 4 of these pieces roughly on the bandsaw, cutting way outside my line so I don't get anywhere near where my router is going to be cutting. So like I said, 4 of each of these, and then I'm going to be making 2 of these center connection pieces. So I want to make these pieces in a place on the board where there's going to be pretty straight grain. And I don't want to have a whole lot of figuring and stuff that will weaken the wood. So I'm just going to line this up pretty straight and trace a line going all the way around the outside. And then I'll just be sure to cut way outside that line. And I'm going to make 4 of these. So I've got all my pieces roughly traced out, and I've really been making sure to not put any pieces over knots and stuff like that, because I really don't want to violate the structural integrity of this since it is going to be a table. I'm going to use my chop saw, cut this into some more manageable sized pieces so it'll fit on my bandsaw, and then I'm just going to go roughly cut out around the outside of this, staying as close as I can to the line without actually touching it. And for those of you wondering, I used about 385 square inches worth of wood to make this project, and this is using the dimensions that Johnny Brook has provided from Crafted Workshop. Alright, so I have all of my pieces roughly cut out on the bandsaw. I made sure to stay well away from my line, and the router with the flush trim bit and the template is going to get that down to a perfect size, and it's going to make everything the exact same. Alright, so I have my first leg clamped down onto my template here, and I'm just going to run along this side here, get as much as I can, and then I'm going to clamp this down and then flip it around and do the other side. Alright, so quick update, guys. I have successfully routed every single one of my pieces for both sides. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to put the pocket holes in the backside. So I just got my pocket holes drilled, and I got this piece of very flat 1/2-inch birch plywood, and I'm going to start clamping down my leg pieces and pocket screwing them together. So I have it clamped down in a way that I can still get my drill in there. I'm just going to tighten the pocket holes, and hopefully these pieces will stay flat for me. Alright, so far so good. We got our top parts attached. Now we just got to put the actual legs on. Alright, so while the glue dries, I have clamped it down on my plywood just to make sure that it stays flat and it doesn't start to bow or twist. So now I'll just drill the pocket holes in these pieces for the other leg. awesome. So the next step is to sand these things, and then we'll give them a chamfer on the edges, and then after that we can attach them to the top of our bench. And now that my routing and sanding is done, I'm going to drill pocket holes in the back of the piece to attach the legs to the top. So I've been using this little piece of 3/8" maple dowel to plug these pocket holes on the inside, and I'm really liking that contrast. So I picked up a can of this Varthane water-based polyurethane, and we're going to use that to treat the legs now. Since I can't get to the lumberyard for a few days to make the top, we're just going to start moving ahead with these legs, finish the legs. We're going to sand with 400 grit sandpaper in between coats, and I'm really thinking that this water-based polyurethane is going to be a lot easier to work with and use than the oil-based polyurethane. I think this wood's going to look very, very nice with the water-based polyurethane on it. Workbench is not very flat here, so we're getting a little bit of rocking. This finish definitely doesn't seem like what I expected. It's very white, it's very milky kind of, and it definitely does not look like there's a layer of plastic over it, which is what you get with a lot of oil-based finishes. And now I'm adding the second coat of the water-based polyurethane. So my second coat of finish is dry, and I'm really starting to dig this finish. I love how not shiny it is and how good it just makes that walnut look. I'm not sure how much of that's going to get picked up on camera, but it's a beautiful finish, and it came out really nice and smooth. I'm going to be using this on a lot more projects in the future. So at the lumberyard this morning, I got this giant slab of walnut, which is about 1 inch wider than I need. It's about 1 inch longer than I need. It's going to give me room to trim it down to size. What I'm going to do is use 60 grit sandpaper in my random orbit sander and just get rid of all that rough sawn edge. And the reason why I'm going to do that, rather than just cut it down the middle and plane it, is because I want to keep it one big piece and not have to cut it in half. So it's going to take a lot of sanding, but I think the final result is going to be much better. So I've been sanding with 40 grit sandpaper for about the past hour on each face, making sure that each one of my faces is completely gone with the rough sawn edge. So now I'm going to use 120 grit sandpaper in my random orbit sander, get it to a lot smoother finish, and I'll keep going up the grits until we can get this to something that's pretty close to being able to finish. And before we go anywhere past 180, I'm going to use my circular saw and a straight edge to rip nice 2 straight edges and cut the ends of this to the final size. Alright, so now I'm going to take my router and a chamfer bit and chamfer all the edges. going to use this Varthane water-based poly, and I'm going to finish the entire bench top. First coat is on. Third and final coat is on. Now all we have to do is wait for it to dry. And I am planing down the piece of walnut that will make the support that goes between both legs. And I can use my router and put a chamfer on that too. Alright, center stretcher piece is finished. We just gotta let that dry. Once that's dry, I'm probably not gonna put any more coats on it. I think one coat's gonna be fine. We'll attach the center stretcher piece to our legs, and then we'll attach our legs to the top of our bench. Alright, so we'll set this up on here like this. Then we'll measure 2 inches on each end for our tabletop overhang. Then we'll tack this in place, and then we'll just about be done. Alright, so let's see where 2 inches is at. Right there. Yeah, this way. Alright, then we'll just center it this way. So guys, the project turned out really, really good. It was my first time using this water-based poly, and I'm definitely going to be using it on some more projects. It was super easy to apply. It dried really, really fast, and it just gave a really beautiful finish on the wood. A couple things I would have done differently. I probably would have used just a walnut dowel to fill the pocket holes on the bottom. I'm not crazy about the contrast at this point. I probably would have made the legs out of a little bit thicker material too, but it is very sturdy as is. If you like the video, please be sure to subscribe, please be sure to comment down below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Talk to you guys later.